It's all over but the counting. Kentucky voters have narrowed the fields, and now we're watching to see which candidates advance to the November election.
Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton is one of the incumbents hoping to return to office. Hear how she was feeling about the race as she cast her ballot this morning.
And we'll see dry and mild conditions continue tonight, but storm chances return mid to late week with some strong storms a possibility. More on that active forecast ahead coming up.
This is live election coverage from Fox 56 News, your local election headquarters.
Good evening on this primary election day in Kentucky. I'm Marvin Bartlett.
And I'm Imani Payne. Polls have closed in much of the state as we're starting to see a few early results come in.
We begin with the Republican nominees for United States Senate. Now with 19% of the vote in, you see incumbent Rand Paul easily winning there with 84% of the vote. His challengers just a few hundred votes among them.
And on the other side of the U.S. Senate race, we're seeing some numbers from the Democratic candidates led by Charles Booker with 85% of the vote, followed by John Merrill with 5%, tied with Joshua Blanton and Ruth Gow to follow. Now, this race is certainly one of the biggest in the Commonwealth as Democrats try to flip the seat.
Rand Paul is a Texas native who moved to Bowling Green with his wife to start his ophthalmology practice. Paul is a strong supporter of the Second Amendment and wants to encourage second chance employment for nonviolent offenders. He's facing off against 5 other candidates who want the chance to fill that Senate seat he's held since 2010. Other contenders include Jessamine County native Paul Hamilton, who is a graduate of UK and an economics professor. On the other side, several Democratic candidates hoping to take over Paul's seat, including presumed frontrunner Charles Booker.
The Louisville native is holding a watch party tonight, and that's where we find our Georgia Godfrey. And Gigi, a lot of excitement there tonight.
I'm here at the watch party for Fox 56 News.
All right, Gigi, thank you. Another race we're following tonight is the United States House 6th District race. Incumbent Congressman Andy Barr is running for a 6th term against Derek Petties, a customer service manager and farmer. And right now, Barr is sitting in the lead with 88% of the vote.
On the Democratic side of that race, teacher Chris Priest running against perennial candidate Jeff Young. This is Young's 5th time running for Congress. Not many votes in right now. Priest just with a 7-vote lead.
Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton taking time out this morning to cast her ballot. That happening at Crestwood Christian Church. At last check, we are still waiting for some of those numbers to come in the mayor's race. Now, at the polls earlier today, the mayor saying the voting process was relatively easy. She said she's excited about Election Day, but not too thrilled about the low voter turnout predictions. The mayor also spoke about her top priorities if re-elected, including crime, affordable housing, and quality of life, among some others.
I have some new things in my budget that I'm hoping to be able to focus on. Several initiatives for economic development, a new program for affordable housing, and a new program for an incentive for infill and redevelopment.
She went on to say her biggest achievements as mayor so far include leading the community through the pandemic, racial justice protests, as well as economic and inflation challenges. We'll have more from the 2 mayor candidates advancing on coming up tonight on Fox 56 News at 10.
Well, the weather was certainly no obstacle to getting out to the polls today.
Let's take a quick break from the results to check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Johnson for a first check of that forecast. Chris.
Yeah, guys, certainly ideal weather for today. No doubt about it. Guys.
All right, Chris, thank you. Another major race we're watching tonight is the Republican race for state senate in the 22nd district. That includes Garrett, Jessamine, and parts of Fayette County.
Bodie Brooks caught up with the candidates before the polls closed.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Senator Donald Douglas is facing a primary challenge from local businessman Andrew Cooperrider, as you just saw. Results not quite in just yet.
Thank you, Bodie. Another state senate race we're keeping an eye on is in the 34th district. Incumbent GOP Senator Jared Carpenter is being challenged by Rhonda Good. This district covers parts of Madison and Rockcastle counties. We expect some numbers to start coming in on that race very shortly.
Another closely watched race is in Jessamine County, where 2 veteran lawmen are competing in the sheriff's race. Current Sheriff Kevin Corman has been in the job since 2004. His challenger is Sergeant Kevin Grimes, who has been with the Nicholasville Police Department for 20 years. Right now, we are still waiting for those votes to come in. Now, the race will be decided tonight because there is no Democrat running. Corman, a lifelong Democrat, recently switched to the Republican Party, noting that the county has become increasingly conservative. Grimes got into the race because he said it's time for a change. The big question that will be answered at the polls: have voters forgiven Corman for a DUI arrest last September? Now, as expected, voter turnout was fairly light today across the state.
Krista Spadaccini spoke with a Lexington poll worker who highlights some of the changes voters saw this time around.
It's just a reminder that voting is a privilege.
Krista Spadaccini, Fox 56 News.
The FDA made a big announcement today as Americans continue to fight COVID-19.
Up next, the latest group of people being cleared to roll up their sleeves once again.
You're watching live election coverage on Fox 56 News, your local election headquarters. This is Fox 56 News with Marvin Bartlett, Imani Payne, and weather with Chris Johnson.
The Food and Drug Administration authorizing a booster dose of Pfizer for healthy 5 to 11-year-olds. The additional shot can be given at least 5 months after the child's initial dose. In a small study, Pfizer found the booster dose revved up children's antibodies similar to the boost seen in adults. The next step is for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to decide whether to formally recommend the booster for this age group. The CDC's scientific advisors are slated to meet on Thursday.